Insight 209. In an effort to direct your mind, you need to be in charge of directing your life. Sometimes friends and acquaintances ask of you certain obligations because of friendship, assistance, guilt, or cordiality, meaning friendliness. Free your time. The best way to assist someone is to give them enough help and instruction within your means for them to be able to help themselves. The best way, I'm going to read that again. The best way to assist someone is to give them enough help and instruction within your means for them to be able to help themselves. So a lot of people sometimes go out of their means, you know. They give too much and they become imbalanced. Don't do that. That's not a good idea. The best thing is to remain balanced and give of what you have extra to be able to help the other person. Set an example and help yourself. Regarding obligations, because of cordiality, guilt, and friendship, do you mean to tell me if one person after the next, non-stop, asks you till the end of your life to do things for them, will you do it? Or you will do it? No. You will not allow it. It is beneficial for you not to allow anyone to take part or all of your life and waste it. Being of service to others is good, but first it is proper to be balanced and lend assistance in such a way to not place yourself in imbalance, financially, time-wise, or in any other way. So some people have this problem of being helpful to others and being a disservice to themselves. This is not the way. This is not life. This is not your life. You're not living. You know, this is not the way to be. The way to live your life is, you know, you make decisions about your life. You want to be balanced. You can't go out of your way, imbalancing yourself, trying to help other people. You're setting a bad example for them, for the rest of society. You're not really helping yourself, and you're really not helping others either, because you're teaching them that it's okay to do that. No. You want to remain balanced so that not only do you get what you wanted to achieve to be done, but also you're able to help numerous other people while remaining balanced. If you're imbalanced, how are you going to help anybody? So the help that you're going to give to others, if any, should be done in such a way that you're not put out of balance. So if you're balanced and you help somebody, when the next person who comes, you can still help them because you're balanced. So help yourself, help others. Don't go doing all kinds of activities for others, wasting your life away for their trivial whatever. Insight 210. Become acquainted with the pleasures of discipline. There is a certain joy in waking up early and centering oneself, both anatomically, by sitting in a certain posture, and mentally, by the means of focus on one simple activity at a time. The activity could be as simple as running your palms over your head and face, and breathing deeply, and exhaling and feeling the comfort of peace. You can use this concept of discipline in your daily exercise routine and also throughout your day, thereby centering you. You've seen like movies of Japanese who sit on the floor very centered, or so it seems. Physically, they seem very centered. And also they many cultivate a certain kind of mind that is settled, similar to how their sitting posture is. You've seen the Zen gardens, a garden which is full of stones, and big stones and many tiny stones, smaller stones, and they have a rake, and they use this rake to move around stones. to make patterns. Now, what this does is that the person is engaged in making smooth these, making a pattern that is making everything smooth. While he's involved in this, his mind similarly becomes smooth. It has a positive impact on the mind. So, you've seen Chinese movies also, Chinese or also Indian. All these various cultures have this thing about calmness, sitting down, and clarity, and being, experiencing the joy of discipline. Enjoy the health of your body, of your mind. It's so beautiful. Go to a park, please. Go to a park. Spend enough time there to experience the pleasure of life. How you can see the trees. There is clarity between you and the trees. Most people are not aware of how wonderful it is to be able to see, to hear. My God. Insight211. Those birds are making really nice chirping noises. Get rid of all distractions. If you were to apply yourself in life and disallow distractions, you and many others would have accomplished a great many things. Do not underestimate this point. Much of our lives we spend on trivial matters, such as sports, games, research, curious questionings, useless talk, and other useless ventures. What are you doing? Get serious. With discipline, after determining your path, go to it, be it, and do it. Yeah. You know what to do. You know how to do it. Get busy and do it. So and if you don't know how to do it, research and learn how to do it and practice it till you perfect it. Whatever that you want to accomplish in life. So a lot of people are distracted by all sorts of things and don't get to do what they really want to do. So go ahead and do it. And get away from these distractions that are pulling you this way and that, away from what you really want to do. Insight212. Divorce from all concepts of self. Looking at oneself as only a living being with a limited lifespan. One with such a sober mind puts aside delays and approaches life in a significant way. One can have fun daily, however, one ought to put a time limit on it. Otherwise, other areas of one's life, those areas of significance, are not addressed. You need time to refresh your mind to be able to see this. So become aware of your limited lifespan. You need time to really reflect and understand this. Understand it. Become aware of this reality that you are here on earth for a limited lifespan. Meaning you're gonna die at some point. So get that fact established in your mind. Such a sober mind puts aside delays. You want to put aside delays and approach life in a significant way. Right. So you don't want fun. You're gonna have fun, but try not to have a time limit on it, and don't let fun or other areas take you away of the significant areas of your life. Insight213. Get rid of distractions of all sorts. Be uninfluenced by them. Get rid of distractions of all sorts. Be uninfluenced by them. Do not take this point lightly. Being distracted pulls you away of being aware of the major issues in your life. Distractions keep you away from the whole perspective. Distractions are actually attractions to minor issues. They include supposed obligations due to cordiality and social norms. .214. No matter what conditions you face, try to do the following. No matter what, sleep and rest early. No matter what, exercise modestly. No matter what, eat right with the right portion at the right time. No matter what, play. No matter what, do your work. No matter what, have some time to yourself to refresh your mind, to be able to see things correctly. Do everything in balance. Each of these is important. None should take precedence over the others. None should be more important than the other one. For example, if you work a lot and you say, I gotta do this thing, you work, right? Eventually you're gonna burn out and you say, I wanna have fun, and you may have a tendency to then overdo fun, I met this guy once who had some kind of injury, and he told me he went to a war in Vietnam. I believe it was Vietnam or Korea, I don't remember. Anyway, so he went to this war for quite a long time. He said, I went to this war for a very long time and I didn't get any injury. When I came back home, he said he got into having fun in a very big way, having fun. He got injured while having fun. He said, it's funny that I went to war, didn't get an injury, but I did the fun. I played hard, Work hard, play hard. This is not correct. This idea is not correct. Neither one should work hard nor play hard. One should work moderately and play moderately. So he got this injury in his homeland while playing, because he played hard. He got the injury, which was quite a big injury. .215. Throughout the day, your actions, movements, thoughts, and everything ought to proceed in a slow manner. Observe carefully and apply your intelligence. This slowness allows you to think properly about your state of being, the various circumstances you face, and allows you time to identify the best appropriate response to apply for the various life situations. So, not only will you have time in the morning, noon, and night, and whenever else you want, to be in silence and slow yourself down, calm, just be, right? And to train your mind to be that way. But also throughout the day, while interacting with people, you want to have silence, slow down. This slowness is actually infusing silence into your interactions. Therefore, your interactions will be with more quality. The next insight actually says that. At 216, this slowing down is actually related to silence. The very first thing that I spoke to you in this book was about slowing down and silence. Look at the first entry under the heading Suggestions on Reading This Book, and the heading Great and Positive Influences on Me. Here, I'll look at it right now. Suggestions on reading this book. Here, let me look at it. See if I can find it here. All right. The main and best way to read this book. Read slowly. I put it in bold and italicized it. Read slowly. By the way, at the end of that paragraph, which is a very long paragraph, going to the next page, again, ends up with read slowly. italicized and bold. Under the heading, great and positive influences on me. Let me look at that. Great and positive influences on me. Here. Oh, there it is. Great and positive influences on me. The first entry is silence. Silence. I am appreciative of silence for giving me the opportunity to remain in peace and to think clearly. It enabled me to systematically, logically, and precisely dissect thoughts, ideas, emotions, and sensations to their elemental truths, and to identify their cause and effect. This method of insight leads to the discovery of identification of truths, falsehoods, misunderstandings, misinterpretations, and finally, an opportunity to uncover or discover truths that remain hidden from a biased mind. All right. Insight 217. This silence is space. It is uninfluenced. It is the uninfluenced state. This is freedom. The slowness is actually the infusion of silence and space in our daily lives, allowing us to have a proper perspective, leading us to make more appropriate decisions. It is meditation brought into every activity. It is an infusion of deliberation, enlivening each and every action with deliberate intention instead of a pre-programmed responses. Yeah, instead of pre-programmed responses. So you're not going to have a programmed robotic life. No, you're going to be having a very enjoyable, live, spontaneous interaction with others, but you're going to be with just, how you say it, alive. Now, the spontaneous is very interesting because there's two methods that I'm aware of. I'm sure there's many methods of speaking, but two that I'd like to point out. One is the ones that I mentioned, to be alive and conscious and figure out how you want to interact with this person, what you're going to say, what did they say, and how would you like to form your response? What form of activity you would like to get involved with this person? What method? You could joke around with them, you could be serious, you could be sincere, so many things, and also there is this spontaneous ways of being. Wow, what is the spontaneous ways of being? Because it appears that being spontaneous, the slowness is out. Yes, the slowness is out when you're spontaneous, and in that spontaneous way of being, it is not a process of learning or teaching or discussing. This spontaneous way of being is, for me, it's like, friendship. With friendship, you can be yourself and be alive and express oneself and receive jokes and give jokes and talk about all kinds of stuff, and it's very live, very live. It's very nice, fantastic. But for the person who is trying to study, learn, and progress, there is the other method of being, which is to be alive and conscious, slow, because you're in the state of trying to determine how your mind works, trying to determine how influences come into your mind, where they come from, why are they so potent, and all these, how and why they affect the mind, how you can be in charge of your own mind, and to get away from these influences and be established in peace and truth and all this stuff. And so all these things that mind is engaged in requires you to think and be conscious and aware, and so you need slowness, you need time to think, you need time to be aware. So that's why the slowness allows you, because you're in a method of study, you're in a method of learning, investigating. And so that's why you're out of the state of being spontaneous into a state of being investigating and learning and slow. Insight 218. If a person has control over your genitals, they have great control over you. Insight 219. Obviously, you would not want someone to control you in this way. Insight 220. There are persons who, over great distances, exercise great influence over a person's genitals. I'm not talking about some mystical means or something. No. I'm talking about, for example, in some advertising. The guy doing the advertising is in, let's say, New York, and he's designing these advertisements and sends them all over the world. Well, now this man or this woman who's done this advertising, if the advertising is done a really great job, he has influenced so many people over great distances with his advertising. That's what I'm saying. All right. Insight 221. Our desires are our chains. There are people who help design these chains of desires. They place them everywhere imaginable and everywhere possible, hoping to capture the unsuspecting. The makers of our chains, in many cases, are the manipulators. So, they want to sell their product. There are some people who want to sell their product, and so they want to heighten the demand. And so they introduce a product in a more seductive way, and so the people and they try to post them here and there, everywhere, in different places, and so people are susceptible to them when they see them. Oh my God, this is very shocking, and I'm really powerfully affected. Wow, there you go. So the effect is there, and the impact is high, demand was high, and many people get engaged in trying to get more of this stuff, either physically or by imagination through fantasies, like as in sexual presentations. Insight 222. With chains of desire, they make us busy and weak. We surrender our lives to them, and we surrender other people's children. We surrender our wives, sons, daughters, and fathers, and we surrender everyone to them. They make us busy and weak. Yeah, so the mind gets busy with that stuff, as we talked about, because we waste our time on it. So much time. For many people, weeks, months, decades of their lives. They make us weak. Why? Because when you expel, when self-pleasure is over, the body is weakened because of the nutrition that has left the body. The immune system is lowered because of the white blood cells being depleted also. So many other things that science has yet to learn is depleted from the body, so the person becomes weak. Oh, about the surrendering of lives, yes. So, you got so many people who fall prey to. There's so many people are actually being enslaved in this modern world. Sent from one country to the other as slaves, as sex slaves. It's crazy. To the hundreds of thousands. From one country to another, 50,000 back here, 50,000 back there. Crazy stuff. Insight 223. In the absence of blood within the leg, because of sitting incorrectly, the leg sensory organ cease their function. The leg sensory organs. So the legs, you're just unable to feel your leg. And therefore you are no longer able to feel with your leg. In the presence of surplus blood within the leg sensory organs increase their function, and therefore you are able to feel or sense much better with your leg. Likewise, when there is considerable blood circulation in any region of the body, the sensory ability of the organs of that region is heightened. Such is the case when one is aroused. Blood rushes to the genitals and also throughout every organ, heightening every organ's ability to sense. A similar tactic is used by those who seek to manipulate. By manipulating the flow of blood, they might slap a sensitive organ, like the breast, and then suck on it. In this way, the breast is made to feel pain. The nerves and consciousness of that slap makes one momentarily very aware. In addition, the blood rushes to the slapped region, flooding it with extra blood, supersensitizing the breast, which is a sensitive organ in its normal state. When the tongue and lips are used to suck on the breast, the comforting feeling is sensed greatly. The contrast built is pain and pleasure. Remember that a sincere relationship is by far superior to such pitiful trickery. If this trick is used on an aware person, she is able to think of what is happening. She will notice the overwhelming feelings of pleasure taking hold. She will be able to trace it back to the physical manipulation applied on her body. She is able to halt the person's progress into sexual interaction because she is no longer impressed by the trick. So there are many tricks used to try to influence the person's mind and body. It has to do with overwhelm. It could be subtle or it could be overwhelming. It could be a combination of both. And they want to overwhelm the mind, take over its reality by grabbing the attention quite strongly, impacting the attentions quite strongly, impacting the focus quite strongly. So this is done sometimes with the physical slapping. Suddenly the shock brings awareness because the hit is quite severe, and so the mind is now aware of that organ. The blood rushes there, making the organ more sensitive, susceptible to more sensitive, and the pain has just been experienced, and it's more sensitive, and at that moment, when the comforting feeling of the licking or sucking is applied, then the person feels it more distinctly. And so the contrast of pain and pleasure is engulfing the mind. You see it? So one who understands these tricks doesn't fall for them. A person who doesn't know about these things, who this stuff is applied on, they're like, wow, they're just overwhelmed, and they might go into extra fantasy and interact with the person. No. A person needs to be aware, and when manipulation is applied on them, they see the manipulation, identify it so clearly, and they stop it. They disengage. They go, I don't get away from me. I don't want this trickery. Insight 224. Be aware of quick hugs and touches. The feelings that might arise out of contact with the other person's various body parts can catch us unguarded. One can also be caught off guard when someone touches us. So, because you're in a state of trying to overcome sexual fixations or obsessions or all this stuff, and you're learning to become aware of your mind and how it operates, you want to be in control, aware and in control of what sort of data is going to be inputted in you. So you've learned how to look away from data that is overwhelming. Sounds that are overwhelming, you actually turn your ears away. You lower your focus, not focusing on them as strongly, and you focus on your state of balance, your state of peace and calm, and how you don't want to be influenced, all this stuff, peace. Also, if somebody touches you, it's the same thing. when they touch, they're inputting data to your mind. And you want to be in charge of that. You don't want to be hugged by people or touched by people without your permission. So you want to make that clear to other people. And some people will be offended. That's all right. They don't have the capability to understand and see to your wishes. Fine. They can they can live their life. But you're not going to be influenced by other people. You're going to be in charge of yourself. And so you don't want to be accidentally somebody just coming and hugging you or all this stuff, because you want to be in charge of your own state of mind. And your state of mind, it can be influenced by inputs from outside, even accidentally. This might trigger thoughts that connected to sexual thoughts. You want to get away from that. So at first it might seem funny why you don't want to hug. You just want to get away from that. Like, for example, if somebody wants to hug you, you want to hug, that's fine. You say, okay, I'll hug you, whatever. But because you're in a state of learning, and also you don't want to be caught off guard, you want to control things. You want to control the situations of what is inputted into your mind. And also, you're not going to just follow along anybody who wants to hug, So you want to try to be aware of that as well. Insight 225. Regardless of relations, others should not be allowed to embrace or touch you without your full mindful consent. When a person embraces you or touches you, data excuse me, data is introduced to your senses and mind. You ought to have full command of your own mind and the doorways of your senses to your mind, including your body. This does not mean barring all people. Rather, it means that you decide who can interact with you in a friendly manner by spontaneously touching you and embracing you. If you do not stop people from interacting with you as you see fit, they will interact with you as they see fit. And they might surprise you and catch you off guard and thereby excite you or lead you to a path of excitement without your conscious awareness and without your conscious control. So you want to avoid that. Insight 226. Somehow the manipulator has to gain access to your mind and feed data into it in a subtle or overwhelming manner. One method is to engage you in conversation or interact with you in some way. Since your focus is on the talk or activity, the sexual suggestions or inputs might be introduced subtly or overtly. If and when you become aware of the manipulations, which are the sexual suggestions, and are ready to shut off your senses to further manipulation, and to discontinue focusing on the presented information, the manipulator then increases their emphasis on the seemingly innocent talk. You perceive a seemingly genuine effort by the manipulator to engage in the innocent talk or activity. You begin to believe her innocent intentions. While listening to her, once again your focus is fixed on the manipulator. It is by this trick that the manipulator keeps your focus on her and introduces further sexual suggestions to alter your thinking. Let me say what that means. So somehow, in order for manipulation to occur, somehow the manipulator needs to gain access to your mind, to your attention, and to input. Once you grab the attention, they input information that way. The inputted information could be direct, meaning overt, or indirect, suggestive, subtle. At some point, you may become aware, hey, this stuff is making me think of sexual stuff, or I'm being influenced sexually, And then you go, oh, she's doing it, or he is doing it. Then you want to stop, disengage, or minimize interaction with this person, right? Because you feel that they are being manipulative, or even accidentally making you aware of that stuff. Nonetheless, you want to get away from this person. The person who is manipulating notice this, and because of them wanting to influence you, they might ease their manipulations and just talk about innocent stuff. So then when you're noticing their talk, you notice that, they're being more innocent now, so it's okay. I could continue continue to talk to them, to be in their presence. And then the manipulator has your attention still, starts to input more information in more subtle ways, and to affect you. So this is a way a manipulator works, and you need to be aware of that, and to cut off and go. Insight 227. There are ideas introduced to us by words and by others means, such as clothing, profession, items, cultural events, ideas, things, etc. For the sake of brevity, let us examine words. Right? So again, there are ideas introduced to us, or data introduced to us by means of words, and so many other things. Profession, clothing. So like, for example, if somebody could be wearing something, and just the color of the clothing, the shape of the clothing, the whole thing suggests to us, communicates to us a certain idea, a certain thing, and it's inputting it to us, So you need to be aware of that. Anything and everything is possible to be used to input data into us, and you need to be aware of this. So we're going to talk about words. For the sake of brevity, let us examine words. The words dream girl seems innocent enough. However, they carry within them a host of preconditioned traps. This one idea, made by the connection of two words, contains within it, in certain cultures, a great many ideas. Of course, for each person, the dream girl is slightly or greatly different. However, the potential for manipulation in each case is great because the use of this combination of words corresponds accurately to many men's ideas. In one example, it suggests the idea of having the perfect female with there's people walking around. Let them go so that I could say this. Okay, so in one example, it suggests the idea of having the perfect female with a heaving, perky breasts, a slender body, a bubbly personality, and one who would be phenomenal in bed. It is therefore important to recognize when one is exposed to such words. These words, objects, ideas, or any other thing, are very potent by the virtue of their connection to many preconceived ideas on sex. One who is aware does not fall into this trap and is not caught off guard by not knowing what method they were enticed into sexuality. As mentioned in the beginning of this insight, there are innumerable objects, places, and ideas that contain within them ideas connected to sex. Again, I'll read that. As mentioned in the beginning of this insight, there are innumerable objects, places, and ideas that contain within them ideas connected to sex in a potent way, similar to words we have just discussed. Make a mental note and set up mental barriers of awareness against them when you recognize them in life. So when you come across like dream girl, the word dream girl, you notice, hey, that has great potential of impact. So you want to be very distinctly aware of it. So much so, that it doesn't catch you off guard again. This way you go throughout life, and when some great influence is influencing you, you go, I'm feeling this way. Oh, what is influencing me? This. You notice its qualities and you realize, this is, you spend enough time on it to think and identify it in your consciousness so that you're no longer surprised by it. You really see it quite strongly and are aware of it. Wow. Then it doesn't hit you again by surprise. That, and in this way, when you go out throughout life, you eventually develop. You'll be very wary. People have this similar thing with, for example, bees. If you walk around and you start to hear the sound of a bee, you're conscious. Suddenly, you're looking around for where the bee is. You close your mouth and you might squint your eyes, looking where the bee could possibly be, so that you could avoid it. Right? You've developed this mental awareness quite strongly about the sound of a bee. So wherever you are, you're quite aware. Or visually, if you see flies hanging around you, if you see a fly, you go, oh, a fly, So, right? Okay, good. So that's what you're going to do with various sexual situations also.